So what is ancestral healing, right? Hey there, I'm Ash Johns. I'm an ancestral healer and certified psycho-spiritual life coach. I work with women like you to identify and heal unseen generational patterns and ancestral trauma and wounds that are stopping you from finding your freedom, going after your desires, and living in your destiny, whatever those things might look like for you. So why would I be saying that ancestral healing is important, and what is it anyway, right? Ancestral healing really comes down to our need for all humans to have belonging, love, purpose, understanding, and ultimately healing, to be regenerative, to be more connected, and to increase the quality of our lives as the generation moves forward. But when we don't do healing, that ain't happening, right? So perhaps you've realized you've been repeating some patterns in your own life that are not giving you the most joy and happiness, or they're not even serving you at all. Perhaps you've even realized that your limiting beliefs that you've been working on with a therapist or through coaching or even through any other programs of personal development and fulfillment aren't really landing. Like, you might be getting a little frustrated. And the reason being is because we have to go further back than just you or your parents if you want to really have lasting healing and empowerment in your life. Lucky for y'all, I've already prepared a nice little freebie that you can download at any point in time. It is called 8 Paths to Freedom, The Lay of the Lands. It gives you a nice overview of ways that you can start to explore ancestral healing, and the link is in the comments of this video. The purpose of this video is to give you a nice overview of what it is and why you should explore it a little bit more. You can kind of break it into 4 different categories, if you will. So number 1, the easiest way to start ancestral healing that you might want to explore, and I talk about this further in the ebook, is looking at the history, the archives, research, genealogy. Before you even go further, I know the first thing you're probably thinking, right? Because again, humans be human in this world, is like, oh, my family had to immigrate, or my people were enslaved, or we had to run away and change our names, or we barely survived. Only one family member survived this famine or this catastrophe in the world. Because again, history is history, right? And so when you think about history and archives and research, normally it brings up some pain or some sadness or this idea that things will never be found again, or so many things were lost, like in a fire or in a ship or something like that. But the truth is, nothing is lost in this world and in this universe. So the second approach, right, of the 4 buckets, if you will, of ancestral healing is looking at the lifestyle of your people. And this one tends to be really, really fun for people. Like when we think about the songs, the music, the dance, the food, how they live their lives, the arts, the traditions, all these types of things that make up a lifestyle. And we start to remember them, explore them, maybe go and take classes around language or wearing the garbs and the traditional clothing of our people. And we start to research and understand why they did the things that they did, how they connected with the stars, or how they worked the lands and were agriculturalists, or whatever it might be. And we start to adapt those things into our own lives. There is a healing component to finding simplistic or even complex ways of living that your people did before you. Now, you can imagine how doing research and doing the archives that we talked about in category 1 could bring you into a deeper lifestyle exploration and like modernizing traditional ways of being in your life and how connective and healing that might be. So starting from category 1 of history, moving into lifestyle is a very common thing. You'll definitely want to explore that in the ebook, because it's like really delicious to think about all the things that you could spend your time and actually create hobbies connecting to old ways of being that serve you in modern day. That can be very, very healing for you, your ancestors, and your lineage. Now, before I go forward and talk about the third category that I place all these different ways into ancestral healing, I'm going to ask you a question, right? Because I get super juiced up about this. I've done years of work around ancestors and healing and breaking generational patterns and working with people all over the world. And I've lived in other places in the world that I want to pause and ask you a question. I'm curious, which of these 2 that I've already talked about, category 1 of like history and archives and genealogy, and then category 2 of lifestyle, language, arts, food, recipe, dance, garbs, all those things, are you most drawn to? Or maybe you've already started exploring. Let me know in the comments. I'm curious if one of those 2 are things that you've already tapped into, or you feel called to and you just needed this little nudge, or if you're like, didn't even think about them. And also tell me more, Ash. I'd love to know in the comments. Category 3, we start getting really juicy up in here. I'm just gonna call this the sciences, the bucket of the sciences. This is psychotherapy, this is DNA testing, this is genetics, right? Like all these things where we can see what our DNA says, where our people come from, what type of tribes and villages we're associated with, what our different mixtures are, what our DNA coding tells us about our health and our well-being. Like out of nowhere in the last couple years, we won't go into all the conspiracy theories about it, but a lot of people have been exploring DNA testing and the sciences, both social sciences of psychology and what we've learned by nature nurture, and also the actual physiological sciences. There we go. What have we inherited inside of our bodies, our physical bodies, and our minds? And I think this is a really fun way to explore as well, because you can start to kind of genetically modify through lifestyle, thoughts, practices, foods that you're eating in order to, pull out some of those gene expressions and ways of being and alter your body for health or wellness, or optimize your body, I guess we would say. But this brings another level of healing, of connection, and also opens the door to things like somatic therapy. Lastly, and this is my area of most expertise, and that is all around spirituality and religion, practices of respect and connectivity and relationship, and obviously veneration and honoring. So if you look across the lands, regardless to your race, your background, how long you've been in the country that you're in, or whatever your nationality, when we go far, far, far back in time, all of our people had specific practices of reverence, of honoring spirit and what is not seen, of communicating across realms, and all of the woo-woo things that make our science folks get uncomfortable. But what we know is that energy is energy, whether you're looking at it from a woo perspective or you're looking at it scientifically in a measured, evidence-based way. And so we can unpack this category as like things like indigenous spiritual practices, which also kind of connects back to way of life. Like, how do we honor the land? How do we work with the divinity? Like, what is our relationship to the elements of this earth and this planet? In what ways do we honor the cycles of life, death, birth, and death again, right? We can also unpack this and look at cultural religions and our way of relating to each other, and entities and beliefs and prayers and all of these things, like practicing things that your ancestors did, coming back to that unseen knowing, that phenomenon, if you will, and also literally being able to connect with your ancestors, which is the work that I do, not as a medium, but in teaching you the ways that you're always connected to your people within you and around you, can be incredibly, incredibly healing. There's people who do mediumship, there's people who know how to communicate to the other side. There are many, many different ways of just honoring our folks, and through honoring their lives, whether we knew them or not, we can get insight, we can have support in our lived life, and we can start paving the way for generations to come. So these are just 4 categories, if you will, that invite you into what ancestral healing is, which in my definition is truly all about looking at and honoring the past in order to inform your present, so that you can create a lasting legacy that is full of wealth and love and connection and belonging moving forward. So as we heal backwards, we're allowed to then go forwards, and we need our ancestors with us in order to do that. It's not a one person or one band show. So if you like to explore your own entry into ancestral healing, I hope that this video is a nice little teaser, if you will, into this world of ancestral healing, how you can approach it, and the different levels of exploration that you can get into. I honestly can't shut up about this stuff, so I invite you to download my free ebook, Lay of the Lands. It's going to talk more in depth about 8 ways into ancestral healing, and really invite you into my own practice that I lead in my life, but also professionally with my clients all over the world, all different walks of life, who are learning how to connect with their ancestors and heal their lineages so that they can be the generational pattern breakers that we need to see in the world. So check out that ebook, and when you read it or, glance through it, give me a tag on Instagram at Ash Inspires. I would love to see you thumbing through it, or any insights or interesting things that popped out for you. That lights up my soul to see that follow through of you actually, downloading and reading the thing. And it invites us to get into more community together, which would be lots of fun. Lastly, I want to thank you for joining me today. This is my very, very, very first YouTube video that has been organized for the sake of educating, teaching, and really bringing everybody into this phenomenal practice of ancestral healing and what it's doing for us as individuals and our families, and obviously culturally in the world, because we all all want to see more change, more love, more unity, and more healing happening. I'll be back every Wednesday with a new video, and you can subscribe if you'd love to do that, and hit the bell if you'd like to be notified of these things. But at the end of the day, I want you to know that this is the place that you can come to explore the practical application of spiritual healing with your ancestors for freedom in your life and your lineage. All right? I'm Ash here. In the meantime, I hope you and your people are well. I hope that you continue doing all the good things that you're doing, whatever you are doing in the world, and that you keep walking your path in life with courage and with compassion. Sending you lots of love wherever you are.